Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have a nice game to share with you from the 1993 Linares Tournament. On the white end, world champion at the time, Garry Kasparov, and he's playing against Gata Kamsky. Opening-wise, we have an open Sicilian, and in this one we work with a small pawn center. Scheveningen variation. A very popular reply to this setup by white is g4, the carries attack, looking to dislodge the king knight. Okay, in this setup we have bishop on e3 and f3. We go into an English attack. The reply here, knight b to d7. More popular nowadays, pawn advances, b5 or h5, combating g4. Okay, black connects knights. In comes g4, a move that's all the more appealing with the queen knight committed to d7 if g5 is allowed. The king knight no longer has its favorite retreat square. Okay, black says not so fast. He secures his knight. White preps, though. This advance right around the corner for white is h4. And then the next two moves will hit at light speed, g5, g6. Don't blink, this structure can easily be broken down. e6 can be a goner. What is black going to do to combat this very idea I have mapped out? In the game it is queen b6. He puts pressure on b2. The suggestion here is to yet again get rolling with the b pawn. Let's see why this idea to put pressure on b2 is ineffective. These next two moves by white I found instructive. How would you respond to this threat? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, the best move in this position, move played in the game, a3. What is that move doing? White's last move controls b4 and a3. This is setting a queen trap, one that you would find out of the French defense. After knight a4 in this position, the queen is toast. No safe squares. You'll notice if this pawn is back home, the queen would have access to a3 or b4. Okay, a convenient defense of b2, this a3 move. Once queenside castles is in, it's nice to have that a2 square as a flight square for the king. No holes created with this move either. All right, we continue with knight e5. And let me throw this to you as a pop quiz. What move would you play here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, I want to draw some attention to this position. There's a couple tempting moves here by white. In the game, bishop f2 is played. A tempting move in this position is knight f5, defending the bishop, attacking the queen. Computer says in this position you could get away with taking on b2. King d2 turns out to be an only reply for it to stay as a level position. We go down some crazy path where it's a queen versus two rooks imbalance. Forget about all that. Black could simply play in this position, queen c7. Things are cool here on d6. Two attackers, two defenders, and white would have no better than to go back to d4. Also, in reply to this move, f4 is tempting, but would be losing for white, because black can chop away on g4, and if the queen is not here on home base defending the rook, queen takes b2, black is winning, one of the unprotected pieces. This line here I'm highlighting helps us to understand why, in this position right here, this natural-looking queen d2 is ineffective. Black could then get away with queen takes b2. No time for a queen trap. There would be a threat on the rook. So, in this game, it is bishop f2. It's these two moves here, a3, bishop f2, that address the pressure on b2. What's happening with this last move? The king is there defending the bishop. Now, knight takes e6 is threatened. This is where the queen says, fine, I'm out of here. And only after white has released the pressure on b2 does he give the center knight a kick to c4. Light square bishop moving for the first time, capturing a knight that moved 3 times. Get the recapture. Queen f3, e5, knight f5. Difficult position already for Team Black. What's considered best here, h5, g5, knight g4. That's as far as I'm taking it. The move played in this game, after knight f5, bishop takes knight. We have another case. This is just an observation I made about this game. Another case here where the light square bishop is moving for the first time to capture a knight that moved 3 times. Not sure exactly why I'm drawing attention to this. I am looking at these squares a little bit. Is there something to really take away? I'm not entirely sure, but you'll notice the recapturing pieces. A pawn is the recapturer. A queen is a recapturer. I think we could say for certain that white definitely benefits with this move here. Opens up a file for the rook. Not sure how great of an improvement it is for the queen to be on c4 rather than c7. Anyhow, just an observation. We continue. Play in the center. F takes e5. Knight takes e4. And this rook is now put to work along a rank. There's now a pin. Now this bishop would like to move. Has a responsibility though. So black gives the rook a kick to a different file. And now deploys the bishop, but white has a very cool reply here. He carries on with development. How could he get away with this? Tactics. Bishop takes bishop is the reply. And now knight takes knight. There's no time for bishop takes rook. There's a fork. You would lose the queen. Okay. Pawn takes knight, queen takes bishop. Let's pause. 22 moves in endgame position. Who stands better and why? White stands better. Why does white stand better? Well, rook positions, that's one thing that sticks out to me. Both white rooks functioning. Black rooks still on home base. But the bigger problem here is that there is a huge question mark over the black king. Where will you find a safe haven? There really only exists a safe haven over here, but how do you get over here? This is an adequate structure. A6, B7. The white king, no problem. Nice and cozy over here. 3 pawns watching over the white king. How do you get to the queen side? Okay. We continue. Rook c8. I had a look at this move instead of rook c8. Is queen a2 anything to be worried about? There's a threat of a check and another check. No problems if queen a2 though. c3. We have a new square for the king. Check, king c2. We're firing right back at the queen. She's just misplaced if she goes in there. So, it's rook c8 in this game, king b1, now rook d8, rook takes rook, king takes rook, pop quiz. Important moment in the game. How would you approach this position? What would be your move? Feel free to pause the video. Okay. Best move played in the game, rook h3. What is this move doing? White knows the king wants to be over here. He wants to hide behind these pawns, but the rook is saying, not so fast. You go there, I go here, and your queen is a goner. Now, a move that ran through my mind, I think it's a move that many players would think about here, and that is to track down this pawn. You could win the pawn. For instance, you go queen f4, and then you're going to win the pawn next, no matter what. And the queen is perfect in the center. She'd be defending everything. But the question is, do we want a queen exchange? So, for example, let's just make a couple moves. This would be excellent here, but let's just say we go in for a sequence where we're exchanging queens. Why is this sequence not a good choice for white? White's up a pawn, but we're in a rook and pawn ending now. Maybe the best way to say it is that with queen still on board, the black position, the black king position is always in question. It's a negative, no matter where the king is. If he can't get, again, over here, it's always going to be a liability. But with the queens off, this guy, his position is a positive all of a sudden. This is exactly where he would want to be. No fear of getting checkmated. And right around the corner, in this very position, he could carve out a square with g6. He would get the e6 square. It's an even position, despite being down a pawn. King activity is the big reason why. So, white understands this. He knows, I'm going after the king. This is the bigger prize. Who cares about a silly pawn? Rook h3. You will not cross. Queen d5, rook c3, just in time to stop the king from crossing. King d7, and now the pieces sweep in, coordinating on c7. In the game, rook d8. If you try rook c8, you're going to lose to e6 check. This rook is going to fall after a sequence like this. There we go, in simplified form. So, in the game, it's rook d8. Do you see the idea? The king wants to now sneak over here. So, this move here is considered winning, but absolute best move played in the game, rook c5. White's kicking the queen away from defending b7. Now, something you can question in your own games is moments where you attack your opponent in some way. Something you can question here. Am I maybe helping my opponent, helping one of my opponent's pieces or pawns go to a square it wants to already go to? So for instance, if you're playing rook c7 here, you would be chasing the king away to a square it wants to go to. Let him go there on his own. Don't help him. Don't give him a nudge in the direction he wants to go. Okay, so in this one, it is rook c5. We get a check thrown in there. The king goes to e8. All on his own. Queen takes b7. Up a pawn now, ready to win a second. Right around the corner, there's e6. So in the game, it's queen g4. If black tries e3 here, e6, white is there first. How are you stopping queen here? Yeah, completely winning position for white. What is tried? Queen g4. In comes e6. F takes e6. Rook e5. Let's just pause for a moment, give this guy some credit. What a piece. A rook right here in the center. How did he get there? A lot of tempi. Made a lot of moves. G1, G4, H4, H3, C3, C5, E5. He's got one more move in him, though, before the game is over. Okay, the threat here is to take on E6 with check and then follow up with Queen E7 check, winning the rook. Black defends E7. And cool move here, H4 flicked in. This is, in a way, demoting the queen. She's not as mobile, not as active on H4 compared to G5. She's not defending G7 anymore, and in some cases, she doesn't have access to D5, exchanging queens. Even in a variation like that, white would still be winning if it got down to a rook and pawn ending, but H4, nice move flicked in here. The queens are going to stay on in the final position to this one. We now follow up with rook takes E6 check, king F8, and one final move, a nice touch. F6, a nice interference. Black resigns. There are two threats here, and black cannot parry both. Threat number one, mate in one, and threat number two, Queen E7 check, winning the rook. Anyhow, feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comments section below. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.